Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to go over a few cues that I feel are overrated within the powerlifting community. A few of them have actually kind of inhibited my progress over the years. In the very beginning I used to read a lot, so I'd always make sure that I'd pick up on different articles and different resources to be able to learn how to improve my own mechanics with the squat, the bench, and the deadlift. And it's through those years that I picked up a few cues, some of which I continue to use to this day, and in fact I use with a lot of my athletes to help coach them. But some of the other ones have actually really just kind of held me back. So the first one that I like to go over with is sitting back for the squat. Now this is a very popular cue, especially when it comes to beginners and teaching them how to squat. In the very beginning, what I noticed with a lot of clients is that they tend to be very just quad dominant with their squat, so they tend to lean forward a lot and try to use their quads in the movement. They don't yet understand how to use their posterior chain and really engage the hams, the glutes, and the lower back in a proper way to be able to really sit back into it. So in this event, it makes sense to let people know as a cue to sit back on their squat. It really does help a lot. Now, the double-edged sword on this goes where it's not always just sitting back, sitting back, sitting back, sitting back. For a while when I was squatting, I would always try to sit back as far as possible, and I found myself never hitting depth. And I didn't understand why I couldn't hit depth. I felt like I was doing the movement right. I felt like I could feel the weight really strong, in my posterior chain. I felt like everything was right on, so I couldn't understand why I couldn't hit depth. It's not until later that I really started understanding that it's not so much an extreme of both ends where you're traveling too far forward or sitting too far back, but instead it's about being in the middle. So, kind of falling into your hole per se in the squat. So not sitting so far back that you can't even go all the way down, but just kind of, pushing out the knees a little bit more, pointing out the toes, and kind of sitting down into that squat where you're still putting the stress in the posterior chain, but you're not exaggerating it. So that's the first cue that I think is a little overrated, is sitting back. Keep it in mind, it will definitely help, but don't over exaggerate it, because you'll end up kind of messing yourself up down the road if you're anything like me and you take it to heart with that. Now, the second cue that I feel like is overrated within the powerlifting community is the bench cue to tuck your elbows in. Now, this is a great cue, and in fact, I still continue to work on it because it is a weakness of mine. I do not tuck the elbows in as well as I should. The problem, though, comes in where people take this cue where it's not really necessarily an over tuck. It's kind of just a very subtle enough to kind of keep the elbows in a good position where the wrists and the elbows are aligned, and they start taking it to the point where they're like completely like just tucking excessively. They're putting too much rotation and they're trying to come down, and it's just an awkward movement. So that's where the cue becomes, once again, the double-edged sword, where I would suggest making sure that you tuck, but do not over tuck to the point where your elbows are so tight that you can't even do the movement, okay? So that's the second cue. Just be mindful of it. Once again, no extremes. Don't flare out, but don't be over tucked. Just something right in the middle would be your best bet with this. The third and final cue that I find is overrated in powerlifting is the hips cue when deadlifting. A lot of the times whenever anyone's kind of getting stuck on a deadlift or they're kind of starting off the floor, people just immediately yell hips, 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 hips. While this is a great cue and it's an extremely important cue to make sure that you take into account for yourself for your own training, so because really it is just a hip extension. The deadlift is just a hip extension, and by being able to push your hips through, ideally, if you're doing it correctly and you have your leverages in place, you'll be able to just stand up with a weight and a good leverages. But there's more than that. So I think sometimes people just shout out hips without really understanding. You know, maybe some better cues might be take the slack out of the bar, bring the shoulders back, keep it, you know, keep the bar close to the body, you know, scrape the shin, something like that, where it's not just yelling hips. You know, of course, sometimes it's easy to forget in the chaos of trying to get a new PR or something, but just something to think about, that there's more to it than just the hip extension. Sometimes you could be doing your best to get that hip extension, but if everything else is off, like you're completely rounded in your upper back, no matter how hard you try to get that hip extension, the angles are just not going to be there to be able to do it properly. So those are my 3 cues that I find are sometimes overrated in the sport of powerlifting, not because I think that they're bad cues. I just think that they're over exaggerated, especially with beginners who are starting the sport. So definitely don't fall into those pitfalls. Go ahead and give this video a like, a thumbs up, comment if you have more questions, and as always, make sure to subscribe. I'll continue to put out more content. I've been slacking a little bit, but there'll be way more to come. So thank you very much.